All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're tackling one of the biggest, most mind-bending ideas in all of Christianity, the Trinity. It's this concept that's been a source of incredible beauty, but also, let's be honest, a lot of mystery. So, we're going to unpack it. And right away, we hit the big question, the one that kind of trips everyone up, right? How can one possibly be three? Our brains immediately try to treat this like a math problem that doesn't add up. But here's the thing. This isn't about numbers. It's about the very nature of what it means to be. So, what if we stop trying to solve it like a puzzle? Instead, let's think of it as exploring a deep mystery. The goal here isn't to flatten it out with simple logic. It's more like stepping inside the idea to see what it can show us about God, and maybe even about reality itself.
Okay, so to get started, we need to get really clear on the basic definition. When people talk about the Trinity, what are they actually saying?
So here it is, the core teaching. The Trinity is one God who exists as three distinct persons. You've got the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. They're all co-equal, all co-eternal, and yeah, that math analogy is actually pretty helpful. It's not 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. It's much more like 1 × 1 × 1 still equals 1, and that's the central idea we're going to be exploring. So, who are these three persons? Well, first, there's the Father, who's often understood as the creator, the ultimate source of everything. Then you have the Son, Jesus Christ, which is God made flesh, entering right into our human story. And finally, there's the Holy Spirit, which you can think of as God's active presence, right here with us, working in the world. Sometimes it's just as helpful to talk about what something isn't. So the Trinity is not a belief in three separate gods. That's a totally different thing called polytheism. And it's also not one God just wearing three different hats or masks depending on the situation. Nope, it's something much more profound. A perfect, seamless unity that also contains real, distinct diversity. Okay, so this is where it stops being just, abstract theology and gets really interesting. Because the idea of the Trinity reveals something absolutely profound about God's nature. It tells us that at the deepest level, God is a relationship. I mean, just think about that for a second. If God were just one single, solitary being, love would just be an activity, something God does. But the Trinity suggests that love is what God is. It means relationship, community, connection. These things are built into the very fabric of God's being. God isn't just loving, God is love. And you can almost picture this divine flow of love, right? It's not static at all. It's this incredibly dynamic, eternal exchange. The Father loves the Son loves the Father right back, and the Holy Spirit, the Spirit is that bond, that very love flowing between them. It's this perfect, self-giving community. Now, I get it. This is all still pretty abstract stuff. So how can we even start to wrap our heads around it? Well, for centuries, people have used metaphors, not to define God, but to help us get a handle on this incredible mystery. So how can we even begin to picture this? The key here is to remember that no analogy is going to be perfect. They all break down at some point. But they can give us a glimpse, They can point our minds in the right direction. Okay, let's take the sun, for example. You've got the sun itself, the giant star up there. That's the source. Then you have the light that comes from it, which is how we see it. And you also have the heat that we feel on our skin. Now, are those three different suns? Of course not. They are three totally distinct aspects of one single reality. You can't have the light or the heat without the sun itself. Or how about water? Think about H2O. It can be solid ice, it can be liquid water, or it can be steam. Three totally different forms, right? But it's all still H2O, the exact same chemical substance. Now, like I said, no analogy is perfect. This one has a weakness because God isn't just switching between modes, but it does help us picture how one essence can have three distinct expressions. But this next one, this might be my favorite. There's this ancient Greek word, parachoresis. It basically means divine dance. And it's this incredible image of the Trinity. The Father, Son, and Spirit aren't just standing next to each other. They're in a constant, flowing, harmonious dance. They move in and through and around each other in this perfect rhythm of love. It's just a beautiful, dynamic picture. Okay, so we've talked definitions, we've talked metaphors, but here's the big question. So what? Why does any of this matter? What does this ancient idea have to do with our lives, right here, right now? Well, it matters a whole lot, actually. Because if the Trinity is true, it suggests some pretty profound things. It suggests that love and relationship are literally at the core of all existence. It shows us that unity and diversity don't have to be enemies. They can actually dance together beautifully. And it tells us that God isn't just some distant being out there, but is also deeply, intimately present in here, with us. And that really brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? The Trinity isn't some math problem that we have to solve. It's more like a deep ocean we're invited to swim in. It's a mystery to be entered into, not a puzzle to be figured out. When you think about it that way, the Trinity is really an invitation. It's an invitation to see everything differently, to see love, to see community, to see connection, not just as nice human values, but as echoes of the ultimate nature of reality itself. So, I want to leave you with this question to think about. If the very fabric of the universe is a divine dance of self-giving love, how does that change how we live? How does that change the way we treat each other, the way we build our communities, and just the way we move through our day?